Hey everybody, guess what? We are back. This is African Frame Podcast. Thank you so much, everybody who's been checking out our stuff. We see that the 7 Up video had 1,000 views in 4 days. I think it's probably like no, it's not really the record because the record is the police story one. But yeah, thanks again. I truly appreciate it. This is great. It really shows that you guys love our stuff. We truly, truly appreciate it. I'm not alone as usual. I'm with Rob Sibeko, a writer, a director. Um, and I'm sure you guys know by now that he's very, very detailed with his stuff when he dissects films. So yeah, if you're new, just know that African Frame, what we basically do is we talk film, everything that is film related, whether we're talking about box office predictions, whether we're dissecting films, whether we uh just basically reviewing trailers, things of that nature. So just stick around, and I'm sure you'll definitely enjoy all these things that we're going to be discussing today. We're going to be doing the first Karate Kid film. This film, I think, is probably one of the biggest films of all time, if I'm not mistaken, Rob. I'm not talking in terms of box office. I'm not talking about like box office results, but I'm talking about the culture, especially like in the 80s, how it became so big. It became a global hit, like a phenomenon. Like there's so many things from this film that really, I guess, stood the test of time. The crane kick being one of them. Um, Certain words like wax on, wax off. An iconic fictional character who's like a Master Yoda-like character, Mr. Miyagi. Um, an underdog kid, who basically, I guess, becomes triumphant at the end, takes on his bullies, who is daniellarusso. An iconic quote like "sweep the leg." Um, we get introduced to a dojo that lives on and lived on for decades, off screen, Cobra Kai. And we will talk about we will talk about its legacy um, on and off screen as we continue to talk about this film. So what are we talking about? If you don't know yet, we are talking about the first Karate Kid film. I believe the film came out in I think it was 84, 1984, and it stars Ralph Maccchio, Het Morita, um, Elizabeth Shue, and William Zabka. Yeah. So what are your thoughts of this film, Rob? How old were you when you first saw it, or what was your initial thoughts of it when you saw it?
I'm sure it's like an ACBC one type thing when you were like, you must have been like what, 7, 8 years old. I'm sure I was very young when this came out. I absolutely loved it, blew my mind.
Yeah, was it those Friday nights thing? Those
I would
Friday
like
night movies on ACBC One.
on 8 o'clock. You know what I mean, on a Sunday, that kind of stuff, man. Because remember Friday Action Night.
Yeah.
We were already old by the time Friday Action Night came out. Remember, like, but those were like Chuck Norris films. This was too high quality for that.
Yes.
ACBC One or Mnet, definitely. But
Right.
yeah, iconic, rocked everyone's world. And just yeah, well, what can I even say, man? We all know the iconic lines, like you said. Definitely passionate, and it's such a brilliantly done movie. Like I really got to get into it now with this, and I'm so happy we did this. And like, and it's so funny because when this came out, it was actually it was in the same way that Fast and Furious was a copy of Point Break. This was a copy of Rocky. They were like, okay, let's make Rocky, but with kung fu, with karate. And then they were like, yeah, let's do it. Even Stallone acknowledges this is basically just Rocky. And yeah, and they basically did that and just.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And yeah.
But I guess you could say the difference between Rocky and this one is that the main character wins at the end, right?
Well, yeah.
Because with Rocky, Apollo still wins, right?
Yes. And instead of kids bullying him, life is bullying him. But you know what I mean? So, but yes, the idea of this,
Yeah.
a poor kid working their way up to the big levels, Remember, all those kids are Beverly Hills kids. They're all rich, and then he's like at the bottom, and he just takes on this bigger thing. It's fantastic, and it's a less.
Right.
And it's so funny because I think it holds up even against the new Karate Kid. So I think there's definitely some lessons to be learned from this story that I think hold up stronger than even the new movie.
Yeah, I agree. I think it is the strongest version from this entire franchise. I think this is the strongest one. I think other people might disagree, but I think that this for me is the strongest. Is the strongest film, the strongest because it's the strongest in terms of introducing the characters, us getting to know all of them. Daniel's hero's journey, like him meeting Mr. Miyagi for the first time, meeting his mom, a single parent in the 80s, raising a boy, having to basically try and understand this kid who also is trying to understand this new environment, um, against like these guys that have been friends probably since they were like kids. It's really, really fascinating. And I mean, he basically has no friends in this thing. He's by himself, and his friend is this old man who's a repair guy and like some caretaker. So it's quite an interesting idea, and I guess that's why um maybe a lot of kids really loved it because if you remember, man, back in the day, bullying was a thing. It was a big thing, and I'm sure there were a lot of kids who were moving a lot, and maybe some of them could relate.
Def-
Yeah.
oh no, definitely, man. That's a part of that's pretty deep, but there's so much more to this, so much to this. And yeah, we'll see when we get into it, definitely. And I think you agree those themes of isolation and you see they don't come out of nowhere. That's what I also love about this thing. There's the strings of flow. This happens because this happens. This because instead of and then this happens because this happens, but then this happens and because of this, and it's brilliant stuff and it's well shot. It's actually
Right.
it's
Right.
Beverly Hills Cop. There's some stuff here that's very much like Beverly Hills Cop. Individual shooting, um, just like that car scene we talked about that one time with Beverly Hills Cop. The one where they're talking and the car comes up behind them, stuff like that. You'll see it in this movie. That's some of these scenes are doing two things at the same
They're
time.
talking and the car comes up behind them.
Remember that
Which scene is that one again?
in Beverly Hills Cop, the early scene before that was one of the first scenes when he's trying to sell those cigarettes, and he's trying to sell the cigarettes to the guy
Yeah.
in the alley, and then in the background,
Yeah.
a police car.
Oh, yeah, in the background, right.
Yes, something like
Like
that.
we see what's happening,
Yeah,
but the characters don't see what's happening.
exactly. Something
Yeah.
that happens in this movie. We'll get into it later, and it's just 80s had some very clever filmmaking tricks that you don't see them today. It's fascinating actually.
Right.
But yeah, we'll get into that. Definitely. You ready?
Okay.
Yeah.
Just I'm ready. Just something that I just wanted to mention. I think I didn't mention it before. Okay, so two things. It was directed by John G. Avildsen, and the budget was 8 million, and it made 130.8 million at the box office. It was distributed by Columbia Pictures, and what's that other thing that I wanted to mention quickly? The cinematographer was James Grabe. But I also wanted to just mention quickly that um, Lucille LaRusso, that's Daniel's mom in the movie. She's played by Randee Heller or Randee Heller. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, I'm sorry if I'm butchering her name. But also, an honorable mention is Martin Kove as John Kreese. John Kreese, by the way, is considered to be one of the best villains of all time in all of in film history. And from this movie alone, like he is basically on the same level as characters like Darth Vader.
Hell yeah.
You know,
He's very
but
efficient.
we'll
But yeah,
get to it.
we'll actually want to add something to that. You said the
Yeah.
director was John G. Alverson. Yeah, born 1935, died 2017. But yeah, as I was talking about it being a Rocky thing, guess what else this guy directed? Rocky. Same director.
Oh wow, really?
Yes, same director. He did all.
But you know what? Okay, I had no idea. This is the first time we actually speak about this. I honestly had no idea, but it does make sense. And the reason I believe it makes sense, I'll tell you why, is um you could tell that the man was hella experienced. The reason I'm saying this is by the time they did Cobra Kai, there's a lot of footage that he took but didn't show in the film, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
This is the same footage that they use in Cobra Kai. So maybe let me just share my screen quickly while we talk about him. Please tell me if you can see it.
Yeah, I can see it. Oh wait, as it started.
Yeah, so this is the guy.
Okay, yeah. Yes.
Pardon?
No, I can see it, yes.
Yeah, so this is the guy that you were talking about. He did Rocky, like you said, in 76. And he actually won an Academy Award for Best Director for that. Funny enough. I didn't know this.
Makes sense.
Also, he directed all three films of the Karate Kid.
Yes.
And then he directed Lean on Me, which
That's a big one.
is I guess you could say it's an underrated film for maybe for the new generation. I mean, it's probably one of the few films where you see a young Morgan Freeman, right? With black hair.
Yep.
Yeah. And he did Inferno, which came out in 99.
Yeah, I think his last
movie. So that's
yeah.
Inferno,
basically.
Yeah. What's his last movie?
No, Inferno. That was yeah.
Oh, okay.
I mean, there's a short.
He also did Rocky 5.
Yes.
Oh, but he was nominated for worst director for Karate Kid 3 but I guess that's the thing about directors sometimes. I think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like sometimes directors have a lot of hits and misses at the same time. You know, it's kind of like with musicians as well, where they'd have this great album, then the second album would be meh, then the third album would be okay, the fourth album would be horrible, then they come back with the fifth album and then it does like 6 Grammys or something.
Oh, definitely. I think there's lots of people who they swing for the fences. Like baseball, you just try and try and knock that out the park. You know what I mean? And then you miss, and then you get knocked out.
Right.
That can happen. But then you get some directors who are trying to.
Sorry, please continue. I'll ask afterwards.
Okay, you get some directors who there's this one director, I forgot his name now, Japanese guy, but he basically called himself he was like, I'm a tofu maker. What I do is I make tofu and I try to refine my art. And some directors are like that, where they're trying to do something, try to refine it to a fine art. Good example of that would be like
Right.
Christopher Nolan. Like there are certain things he doesn't change, and he tries to refine his work into something fine.
Yeah.
Like the style.
I was thinking about him actually.
And you get some directors who are just trying to explore themselves, trying to do different things. And then, and you just every director has a different technique, let's put it like that they're trying to do mentally.
Is there a director, in your opinion, that has never had a dud in their entire career? Like from the time they came out?
Hey, dog, that's a tough one because technically, I guess you could say Nolan and Scorsese have been killing it like consistently. Even their bad films are well shot. You know what I mean? Like even if the audience doesn't love it, it's still a masterpiece. You know what I mean? Like even if Christopher Nolan.
And I don't think they were ever really even nominated for Worst Director, if that makes sense. Like even if the movies are not, even the movies didn't do well, it's not because of them. It's maybe just because it came out at the wrong time, or the story was too complicated, or whatever. But there was never a point where we all felt like, dude, this movie shouldn't exist.
Definitely. And I think it's a mind frame thing. Like even the Coen brothers, like they did a weird Tom Hanks one with the cat and the old lady. Like that one is so random and weird, but it's still incredibly shot, and it's still something that comes together fairly decently. It's just a ridiculous movie, so it didn't do well, but it's still not a bad movie. If that makes sense. You know what
Yeah, I would also mention Tarantino in there
I mean? Definitely.
because I feel like, yes, we do know that he did Death Race. Was it Death Race, which is a movie that people hardly speak about?
Yep.
But apart from that, he's had a successful career in directing.
Even his second as well.
And
I mean, From Dusk Till Dawn is silly as fuck, but it's still a good movie. Like you can't call it bad. It's not. It's still iconic.
but
Definitely.
wasn't that Robert Rodriguez?
It was both of them, but
Did
yeah.
Robert Rodriguez?
I think it's tied to Robert Rodriguez. Let me just make sure.
Yeah, man, I think it's Robert Rodriguez because remember it was after Desperado,
Yes.
and yeah, it was after
Yeah,
Desperado, and I remember that
it's
was Clooney's first. That was Clooney's first film, I think. I could be wrong, but I think it was his first. Because at the time he was still on ER, and yeah, that was when he was slowly going to films. I could be wrong about that, but if I remember correctly, yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm seeing a lot of TV stuff, a lot of TV movies, a lot of young. Okay, this man's the movie list is massive. George
Who,
Clooney,
Clooney?
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
no, Clooney is just a Hollywood. I guess you could say it's just like those Hollywood guys, man. Like Hollywood just loves having him on screen.
yeah,
um, him, Robin Williams, um, Jim Carrey,
yep,
those guys, Hollywood just likes just having them on screen.
definitely.
Yeah, it's crazy. But anyway, I don't know. Is there anything else you would like to mention before we get into it?
Well, I mean, we can still go into more people. I mean, there's still a lot of good people here. I mean, okay, yeah, Martin
Yeah,
Cole
maybe. Yeah,
on for
Martin Kove, I think he was involved in a Stallone film, if I'm not mistaken, and Chuck Norris. I think he worked with Chuck Norris, if I'm not mistaken.
probably, but the Stallone one was Rambo 3, I believe.
Oh, Rambo, yes, it wasn't Rambo. Yes. No, I think it's Stallone. I don't think it's Chuck Norris.
Yeah, maybe, but yeah, definitely the Rambo one is one that stands out. And then, of course, Elizabeth Shue has her own career. Karate Kid wasn't the only thing she did. Um,
Yes, I think by the time she got into Karate Kid, she was actually like a star, like
yeah,
you
she
know,
was a
like a
big name at that point. Yeah,
she was a big name. And funny enough, she didn't even think that Ralph Macchio would be like she didn't think that Ralph Macchio was convincing as a fighter. You know what I mean? I
yeah,
mean, I do get that it's part of the
that's kind of the
his
point. Yes.
thing. Yeah, that's kind of the point. But
Hmm?
wow, even Ralph Macchio does say that, dude. At that time, I promise you, like I was bad. I didn't even look like I was scrawny. You know what I
And
you know
that's
what I mean?
perfect. Him being scrawny makes so much sense. I don't want to see Jason Statham or John Cena. You know what I mean? And then be like, oh, he doesn't know
Yeah,
how
no,
to fight.
that wouldn't
Yeah.
make sense at all.
So he.
Unless if the movie was shot in a span of like 2 years or so, where he's actually scrawny for real, and then maybe they stop shooting, then he does like some
Yeah,
regiment thing where he trains like this
that's
intense training
like the
and
actor
whatever.
Old Boy, yes. But that's a lot of effort for a movie that no one really thought was going to be that big. You know what I mean? Like I think
Yes.
it surprised him. But yeah,
Yeah.
you've got
And
Rob.
also it has one of the most iconic, you could say iconic soundtracks. You're the best
Yeah, definitely,
around.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Elizabeth Shue also has
Also,
huh? Yeah.
sorry, please continue.
Leaving Las Vegas was a big one for her as well. Also, The Saint, City of A. Okay, no, City of Angels was a small one. Um, and of course, The Boys. I think
Living
that's
Las Vegas. When did that come out? Living Las Vegas.
that was an old one. The one that Nicolas Cage got an Oscar for.
Yeah, I
1990.
think it was the late 90s, right?
Yeah, but the big one I think everyone kind of knows her for now would definitely be The Boys.
No, no, definitely. I think it was what, season one?
Yeah, season one of The Boys. Yeah.
And also, she did make a comeback in Cobra Kai just for one episode.
Yeah, she showed
Came
up.
back as Ellie, the same character.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, a lot of people were crushing hard on Elizabeth Shue at this when this came out. I mean, she is nearly perfect in every single way. I think you and I need to discuss Karate Kid female characters. For me personally, I still think that Yahiko, is it Yahiko?
Are you talking about the Jaden Smith one? Yeah.
No, I'm talking about Karate Kid 2. Is it Tomiko?
Oh, sorry.
Tomiko,
Yes,
maybe.
yes. Sorry.
Tomiko for me is the best character, is the best female character in this entire franchise. Right?
Really, you didn't like Million Dollar Baby?
I didn't see that one. I haven't watched that one.
No, Karate Kid 4.
But I love Hilary Swank, man. I've always loved Hilary Swank and I'll always love her.
Yeah.
But honestly speaking, I don't think there's any badly written female character in this movie. Like, I'm talking about the main female characters. I don't think any of them were bad. Even the one in Karate Kid 3, she's not bad.
Not at all.
No, she's not bad at all, bro.
Yeah.
So I think they're written very well. They're not necessarily damsels in distress. They can stand their own. They're very quite strong.
I just want to shout out old Pat Morita. He was the voice of the Emperor in Mulan, and he has 105 movie credits. 175 back to 1973. Yeah.
This is Pat Morita.
1967, my bad. Yeah. This is Pat Morita.
Sure.
Who, by the way, for this movie was nominated for an Oscar. Because his performance is fire in this. And just so you know, this man's life was going through hell at the time, so he fought for this role. Because everyone knows, because if you listen to Pat Morita talk, he sounds like a Californian. Yeah, bro.
Dude, this guy sounds like a surfer. Like, like, dude, you have no idea. Because I mean, yes, for those who don't know, Pat Morita was a comedian, actually, stand-up comedian, and he was in a sitcom. I think was it Stanford and Sons? Which one was it?
Could be that one. Yeah. I'm not sure. Let me see if I can find out. He was in multiple episodes, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I see one or two in Bill Cosby, but it's one episode.
No, I think it was like a recurring character.
Happy Days. Happy Days.
Happy Days. Yes, he was in Happy Days, and he was fluent in English, bro. Mm-hmm. He was fluent in English
to the point where Japanese at all. To the point where the Japanese accent is the fake one, and do you know what I mean? The Japanese is the fake one. Yeah. And he kills it. He sounds.
Wait, what do you mean? What do you mean for this role, and what do you mean that he was going through a lot? I don't know about that.
Down on his luck, the money wasn't there. You know what I mean? The career wasn't exactly doing great, and someone said there's this role for this movie, and he was like, "No, I got to." So he jumped on it. And then they were like, "No, you're still not good enough." And he did another take, and he really got the accent down. And they were like, "All right, cool, man." And then next thing you know, 1985 nominee Oscar for best supporting actor.
Oh man, I had no idea. You know, that's so interesting, and I'll tell you why. You could say that this director basically sort of made two people very famous. Not even two people. The first, yes, is Sylvester Stallone, but I guess you could say the second is Pat Morita. By that I mean on a global scale.
Yeah.
Because Happy Days, I don't think Happy Days aired in South Africa, did it? Maybe it did, but I don't remember.
I know Good Times did, definitely.
Yeah.
But that far back, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But he ended up losing. Ironically, he ended up losing to another Asian man. There was a guy named Hang S. Nor who did the movie The Killing Fields that ended up winning. And he was up against John Malkovich and up against two other guys in black and white I've never heard of before. But believe it or not, this was the same year that Amadeus took home everything. So.
Oh, dude, that was a rough year then.
Yeah, that was a rough year. Yeah, the 80s.
But do you think that he deserved? Do you think
yes,
he deserved an Oscar for this?
Yes. But we're gonna get into it thing because there's a thing I noticed with a lot of the dialogue here is that for the two New Yorkers there's extra talking, but for the actual Californians, almost less is more. It's very interesting, but we'll get into it.
So, okay. Before we get into that, you mentioned in Amadeus that the two leads in Amadeus were nominated for Best Actor.
Yes.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So Pat Morita that year then was nominated for Supporting Actor.
Supporting actor, yeah.
And then who else did you mention? Who won?
Hang S. Noor from the movie The Killing Fields. That's the only.
Do you know The Killing Fields?
No, believe it or not, I don't know that one that well. I know the name, but I don't know. I've never actually watched the movie. Yeah, it's like one of those like.
I don't know. I don't know it either.
Oh, one day I'm gonna watch it and find out more about it. But yeah. Moving on. Yeah. Okay, yeah, that's Pat Morita. So
Pat Morita, yeah. And I think also, I mean, Ralph Maccchio also, this is not his first film. I think he did something before.
But he pretty much.
But I feel like.
Yeah, William Zabka and Zach Moreno, they basically kind of struggled. Both of them kind of struggled. Except he did My Cousin Vinny, which was a big movie. Let's not underplay that one. That was an
awesome.
But
he did that afterwards though.
Yes.
But what I'm saying is before the Karate Kid, both of them had done something before. I think Ralph Maccchio had done a project before this, and then William Zabka had also done something before this. But they were not as big as Elizabeth Shue.
For the Outsiders, I think that's what they call it. Yes. Well, for Ralph Maccchio.
Oh, Outsiders, that's the one with, that's like a stellar cast right there, because it has what's this? Tom Cruise. It has Rob Lowe. It has Matt Dillon. I think that guy, the guy who passed away, what's his name again? The guy from Ghost.
Patrick Swayze.
Patrick Swayze is the. Yeah, no, like a stellar cast, bro. This is like the guys who would eventually become leading men were all in that film.
But yeah, this man's got nothing else before Karate Kid, basically. There's like the Great American Hero TV show or something, show for like an episode, but it's not his thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was his big thing for him, I think. Karate Kid.
Also, The Outsiders was the first one.
Well, okay, I was talking about Zabka, and yeah, for Outsiders that was Maccchio, yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So yeah, that's them.
All right. Cool. I guess we can get into it.
Yeah. Because everyone
before I think before we maybe you can advise, maybe we can do that later, but who do you think would have been if people were being recast for these roles, who do you think would have played them in your mind?
In today's time.
Okay, yeah, let's say in today's time, yeah.
Well, I don't know. It's a tough one because I don't know if you've noticed, but all our new young actors kind of suck. Well, let me not say suck, but there's a drought.
The views expressed.
Actually, no, I almost stand by because there's a drought of actors.
No, that's why I do get what you mean, though. Yeah.
That's why they're like, okay, so for Black, what should make for the next? Who's the next bad guy for Black Panther? Then everyone looks around and be like, can we somehow get Michael B. Jordan back? What are you talking about? Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Okay, you get rid of Kang, right? Okay, cool. Who's the next black man? The number you've dialed is not available at present. Please try again later. It's gone.
I hear you.
There's no one. They had to bring Tom.
I hear you, but wasn't that guy the guy that is in The Color Purple? Isn't he the one that is gonna replace Kang or was supposed to replace Kang? I don't know if that's still gonna be a thing now because Robert Downey is back.
Exactly, and they got a 2-movie deal.
Yeah.
Already settled. It's paid for already. 100 million in the pocket. So I think that's whoever's gonna replace him doesn't exist anymore. So it's like what? Maybe the guy from Snowfall. But I never watched that thing. Did you? We just
I've watched Snowfall. It's really good. Actually.
Okay, so you have watched it. Someone's watched it at least. But it's all these movies and shows that no one's really watched. Do you know what I mean? And guys, they don't draw enough energy. Like the guy from Star Wars, what's his name? He's not in anything right now.
Adam Driver. Oh, you're talking about the black guy. You're talking about John Boyega.
Yeah, John Boyega. What is he in right now? Do you know what I mean? That
I don't know
cowboy.
what's happening with him lately. I mean, the last film that he did, the major last film that he did was They Clone Tyrone, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, and then like what's his face? The guy who did Get Out, and he did Death Note, and he did also the cowboy one.
Lakeith Stanfield.
Yeah, Keith Stanfield. Yeah, he's a great actor, but where is he? He's almost, and also they're all kind of, even then these young people I'm talking about aren't that young. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
This young hype
I mean,
isn't.
Donald Glover has like white hair now. I'm like, yo,
Yeah,
Donald.
old man with kids that are fairly grown up. We're looking at old people. We're all looking at old people. You remember Keith Sutherland, Martin Sheen, what's his name? Back to the Future, Michael J. Fox. We forget these are young men. Leonardo DiCaprio when they were blowing up. Even Leonardo DiCaprio, we had a threesome within him, Spider-Man, the first Spider-Man, and some other guy. But the threesome, they were like these like cool boys that would hang around.
So you're talking about Tobey Maguire, Leonardo DiCaprio. Who's the third one?
I forgot. Let me see if I can find out.
Because I just know the two of them. I didn't know there was a third guy there.
Sure, there was another one.
But I do know that I think Leo is friends with Q-Tip, and they've been friends for a long time, something like that. Could be mistaken.
Yeah. Sure, there was a third person. I can't find a picture. But anyway,
Really?
I'm 90% sure there was a third person, but it doesn't matter. Point is, they were young when they were blowing up. Do you know what I mean? They were all these young brothers. Yeah. Where are they now? Now we've got like we're trying to get a 60-year-old man back in. Yo, what's his name? How old is John Wick right now? Crossing into his 60s? Come, John Wick 5, come.
It's probably in his late 50s, yeah. But
50s, yeah.
With Robert Downey, man, for me that's just yeah,
60-year-old man.
It's like it feels like an end game. It feels like an end game script. You know, like how in Endgame they had to travel back in time to fix everything. It's like with this MCU, they had to get Robert Downey and the Russo brothers to just basically change this mess that they've made, and I think it's too late.
I don't know. I'm still gonna make money, dude. If Deadpool can make this much money, and the Russos can.
But yo, bro, the marketing for Deadpool was insane.
Hey, Ant-Man marketing was good as well. So I don't know what to say to you, man. Like,
look, it might do well, but I don't think it will revive that quality that we had for the first 10 years. Of course, those movies are not perfect by stretch of the imagination. Some of them are actually horrible, but there was something good about the MCU for at least the first 3 phases.
There was something solid about it, and comic book fans were just grateful to get something genuine and solid. You know what I mean? Because the alternative was what's his name? The Rush Hour guy. What's his name again? No, man, not Rush Hour guy. But X-Men was the alternative, and some of those were corny, and some of us wanted something new. So I feel like that they're gonna. I'm feeling that the Russo brothers are gonna do a good job because them doing other things has not worked out.
Oh, bruh, that film with Ryan Gosling and Chris Evans, I didn't enjoy it. And Ama de Armas, huh? What's her name again?
I'm not sure.
You know that hot chick, man. The hot chick from Ghosted. Do you know Ghosted, or she was in Ghosted, or she was in Knives Out? What's her name? The Armas, something the Armas. She's like one of the hottest women in Hollywood at the moment. She did a film called Monroe, I think.
Okay.
She played Marilyn Monroe.
That was one of the worst movies of all time. I don't actually know. Like, won every single Razzie. That's all I can say to you.
But you know who I'm talking about then, right?
I know. I think I know what you're talking about. Not really.
You don't know the main character from Knives Out?
Picture on him. Put a picture on him. I never watched Knives Out.
Wait, what?
The sequel. I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna give this.
No, not Glass Onion. The original.
The OG one. The Maid.
Yeah, the Maid. Yeah.
I don't remember what she looks like. I literally forgot what she looks like.
Ana de Armas.
I'm sure her arms are amazing, but I don't remember. Look,
Okay,
Cherry
I
was
was
a
thinking it
disaster
was.
as well. So the Rousseau brothers are out here sweating, dog. Cherry was a
What's it? What?
shit show.
What was a disaster?
Cherry, also made by the Rousseau brothers. You don't even know what it
I
is,
have
I'm sure.
I have no idea what that is. Okay, this is Ana de Armas. For me, she's like one of the hottest women in Hollywood at the moment, bro. I don't know if you know her, but she was in Ghosted. Um, she was in Knives Out.
Ah,
I think
yes.
she's probably worked with Chris. I think she probably worked with Chris Evans 3 times, if I'm not
Ah,
mistaken. Knives Out, Ghosted, and um that one with the Russo brothers I was telling you about, where Chris Evans is a villain and Ryan Gosling is the main character.
right? No. Knives Out, No Time to Die, Blonde. Yeah, that's the one
Yeah,
that won a bunch of Razzies, isn't it? One of the
Blonde
ones,
is the one, no? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
one every single Razzie that could be one. Yeah, I know what you're talking about, but just
But look, I think I understand why it probably made Rezzies. First of all, Anna is, I think is she Persian or something? I think
are you gonna say it's a language barrier?
not necessarily a language barrier. Hey, sure. No, no. What I mean by that is, like, thanks, bro. Thanks. What I mean, what I'm trying to say is, I mean, she herself has said that she's really struggled for a while to speak good English. Like, think of someone like Penelope Cruz or Salma Hayek, where the accent is quite strong,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to play an American, bro. That might be very challenging. You know what I mean?
Well, she clearly failed, and the director's job is to be like, "Hey, man, this isn't working." And he was like, "No, keep up the good work." So it's a failure on all sides, in my opinion. I'm not forgiving that shit. Imagine
Yeah,
Jack Black being
maybe
like,
the director maybe the director surrounded by yes men. Maybe they just thought that would look over it because Anna is beautiful. You know how, like, you said it before, how we just overlooked people like Jean-Claude Van Damme and Schwarzenegger playing like American characters, like American soldiers or whatever, back in the day.
yeah,
So maybe they thought that that would work. But
yeah,
I
no,
guess the problem is that we're using such an iconic character,
mm.
you
And it
know,
just came off
such
as
an
pretty
iconic
pretentious.
person,
Yeah.
rather.
It came off as
Yeah,
pretentious. No one was in the mood for it. So it was a bad
really.
movie at the wrong time. Let's put it like that.
Oh no.
You know what I mean? It was one of those like, yeah. The idea of the movie was that it's like all these men are like poring over this poor woman before she died. You know what I mean? And
Right.
no one was in the mood for that post Me Too, and I think it just flopped. Like
Yes,
even
sir.
during Me Too, it might have had a different vibe, but it
But
didn't.
who do you think then should have played that? Hey, bro, I hope you don't mind me snacking. I'm a bit hungry. But anyway, please continue.
Yeah, cool, no problem. Um, but yeah, in my opinion, that movie would have been bad anyway. It didn't matter what the actor is.
Wait,
It was
so
a
do you
bad
think the
movie at a
problem
bad
was the
time.
script? You think the problem was the script or the director?
I think it was all of the above. I think it's a bad movie at the wrong time. Like if it come out maybe 10 years ago,
Ah, I get you. I get you, yeah. If it came out like in the early 2000s, it could have been
like that.
fine.
So it's a bad movie and no one cares. Does that make sense?
Yeah, makes sense.
Like there was this other movie that I think Shia LaBeouf made that like literally didn't even make $1,000. It was so bad. It wasn't so bad, but no one cared that much.
Was he cancelled though? Was Shia LaBeouf cancelled?
No, he's just weird. I mean, to be fair, there was some cancel, not really cancel.
Cancelable.
It's just like this. He was a terrible. I hate using that expression, that terrible person expression, because it's overused. But he basically had a bad person phase where
Okay.
he was a dick to the people he worked with. He was a dick to the people that he cared about. And then he
Mm.
basically had a Jesus moment where he was, I don't know if he was born again, but something like that. He had a born again moment, and now he's different now. But at the same time, he was kind of all over the place for years.
But you know what? I guess that happens, man. I mean, think about it. He was still quite young when Transformers came out.
Yes.
And can you imagine? I mean, at a point, he was probably one of the highest, like maybe not grossing, but he was probably like the rising star, or he was probably the star at Hollywood at a point. Like this guy went from being probably like the third, fourth, fifth, sixth lead in a movie, seventh lead in a movie,
Yeah.
to being the number one guy, the initial pick, the guy that you want in your films, like Tom Holland type of thing.
Yes, literally.
So maybe it got to his head. I don't know.
Hey, man.
Because you know, fame is a drug, apparently. So
yeah, well, at least it drugs either way. Or some cat type shit. Yes, the shit that cat talks about. Yeah. But no, definitely. I mean, look at Amanda Bynes. Look at Britney Spears.
But from what I hear about Amanda Bynes, I think she quit. Actually, she quit. Apparently, I could be wrong, but apparently, like after she did Easy A, she just felt like she didn't like her performance, and she just left.
But then, like in her 30s, there was her going to jail for crack and all that shit, and like going wild and shit like that. Obviously, it wasn't as famous as Britney Spears, so it wasn't as big, but it was some wild shit. I actually remember that stuff when it was coming out because I was a fan of it. I liked As Good as It Gets. I thought that movie was amazing. Is it As Good as It Gets?
Amanda Bynes wasn't in As Good as It Gets?
I'm no wrong name. I always forget. I think it's not She's All That. I always forget the soccer one. Always forget the name.
It might be She's All. No. She's the Man.
I think it may be She's the Man. The one where she like plays soccer and then she becomes.
Yeah, with Channing Tatum, right?
Yes, She's the Man.
Yeah.
I think I remember What a Girl Wants as well. See,
those What a Girl Wants is good.
Yeah, those are more than Easy A. Like Easy A, she plays the bad guy. I think that was.
She was also in Big Fat Liar. I think she was also in, what's this movie, man? Where is it What a Girl Wants, where her dad was Colin Firth?
Might be. Give me a second. I think so, because I know Colin Firth was, because that one was in Britain. What a Girl Wants was in Britain, so I have a feeling, I'm 70% sure that is Colin Firth. Give me a second.
Oh, that must be the one.
Yeah, it's Colin Firth.
Yeah, because I mean, she was also in What I Like About You, which is one of my favorite sitcoms of all time. And I mean, she grew up in Nickelodeon, you could say.
Yeah, she
grew up in Nickelodeon, baby.
And considering all the stuff that's come out about Nickelodeon, I would be crazy too.
Yeah, that Dan Schneider stuff.
Yep. And she basically had her own show, so you can only imagine. But not that they're gonna find out about it. But anyway, that was a cool tangent.
It was. How old was Ralph Maccchio when this film came out? Do you know? Because the thing about Ralph Maccchio is he's famous for
a baby face.
For having a baby face. So he was born in 1961, and this movie came out in 1984, right?
So he was definitely not 14 years old.
He was 23, bro.
Yeah. Him and Smallville, dog. That guy was like 30 years old when Smallville came out.
Yeah, when Tom Welling was old when I remember, because I think like by the time season 4 came out, he was probably like 34 or something.
Yeah,
but you could still believe he was in high school for some reason.
Just a buff baby face with a square baby face, because he wasn't like a thin-faced nigga, dog, like some Chris Rock type.
No.
Ah, this guy was built like a brick, like Thad.
Yeah, but he's not like it's not like Brendan Routh.
You
know? He was huge. I think that's why he was not even bullied in that show. They were like, this is not gonna work. There's no way you're gonna make this guy a simp. It's impossible.
Everybody hates Chris.
A wimp, brother.
Yeah, just some everybody hates Chris type stuff. See, that's why again, whatever kid you got here would be a new kid on the block. And that's why you could never remake Karate Kid properly. And also, we're gonna get into it about the dialogue, and I'm basically gonna make a pitch. You're gonna see as we go through this, it's gonna be like a pitch as to why you couldn't make Karate Kid today, because there's so much.
One other thing before we get into it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So it spawned a few sequels, standalone sequels, I guess you could say. The new Karate Kid, starring Hilary Swank. The Karate Kid that came out in 2010, starring Jaden Smith and Jackie Chan. It also had an animated series, the Karate Kid. Also had Cobra Kai, that came out. It has what, 6 seasons right now, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, season 6, yes.
And I mean, there's actually a music video directed by William Zabka that came out quite a couple of years ago called "Sweep the Leg," where he does a parody of himself as Johnny Lawrence. And you get Martin Kove and a few other guys from the Cobra Kai gang of that time. So yeah, that was pretty cool. So yeah, Ralph Maccchio is also in that music video, by the way.
Oh, nice.
Oh, and these two guys also, I guess you could say, their characters were mentioned in How I Met Your Mother, which was a whole big thing because some people believe that Cobra Kai basically was okay. One of the inspirations were from How I Met Your Mother. That whole thing about Barney saying that William Zabka is the real Karate Kid.
There's psychology around it, yeah. Oh, and by the
Yeah.
way, just so you guys know, just a little side note, Robert Mark Kaman is the writer for Karate Kid, right? Well, guess what? And this is obviously the best one, in my opinion. He also wrote number 2 and 3. He did not write the next Karate Kid. Oh, no, he did write the next Karate Kid, my bad.
So he wrote for all of them.
Yes, but though it's mostly considered marked as character writing, but still, including the TV series, all 13 episodes apparently. He also did Lethal Weapon 3, which was fantastic. He did Kiss of the Dragon, also great. He did a lot of action movies. Transporter 2, Taken, Transporter, Colombiana. Was there even that much talking in that movie? Taken 2, the Transporter TV.
In what Colombiana?
Yeah, that was like mostly just straight up action. But yeah. And then he did Cobra Kai, almost the entire thing. So that is amazing that he's actually involved.
Okay. He wrote Cobra Kai. I thought Cobra Kai was written by the guys that did Harold and Kumar.
No, it's character writing based on characters. Oh, my bad. I keep forgetting that. So yeah, character. Okay, so they're marking character writing. So they're showing that his characters have been moved on. But yeah, this man done a lot of writing, dude.
Oh, okay.
Man is like the action guy. But yeah,
I didn't know there's character writing. There's such a thing as character writing, but I guess it makes sense.
IP, yeah. I mean, it's his
so
stuff.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, meaning like his legacy lives on. The characters that he came up with live on.
That, yeah. Definitely. Right. I think that's how that works. Anyway, let's start, I guess.
Sure.
Cool.
I hope you guys enjoyed our tangent. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you.
Just make sure you're not doing that screen share thing, that idea, or is that still a thing you want to do, or what?
Yeah. I mean, we're already doing it. I mean, I've already started. I'm just saying, whenever we speak about something, it would be great to just share a screen.
Oh, I thought you meant like as info when we talk about the movie, we keep doing it. Oh, okay, never mind then. Okay, cool.
Yeah. No, whatever you feel like doing, let's do it. As long as we are mindful of the 30 seconds thing, if we have footage to show.
No problem. Cool. So anyway, the Karate Kid. Our opening image starts with the title slate with the location, Newark, New Jersey, which is such a weird name, right? Like, why don't you just call it, like, you get New York and you get Newark next to it. But anyway, yeah, it also sets the time in September.
Yeah, Newark sounds weird, man.
Just give it a different name. But anyway, this is followed by a look into the type of area that he's living in. That we see that it's a dirtier, more industrial area. You know what I mean? Like you see the big city. And then it cuts to him drive in the car. It's all a voiceover, by the way. I'm sure this is done by second unit. Industrial areas, we get a big goodbye. These kids are all saying goodbye and they leave the area. You can see they get lots of friends. This is all very simple, but it sends the message perfectly. Then we get
also, there is like he is speaking to one of his cousins there, and I wonder if that's the same cousin in Cobra Kai. He does say something like, "Hey, Louis, whatever." I'm like, "Oh, okay."
Possible, actually. But yeah, then we get a dialogue montage of the big drive, and the dialogue says it's California. It's to California. They spend real time showing a massive difference in the landscape, so you really know we're not in Kansas anymore. What's incredible about
I see what you did. I see what you did there. I see what you did there. That's nice.
Yeah. What's incredible about this is that it lasts an entire 4 minutes. Like, that's a lot of time in terms of movie time. 4 minutes long. Then after 4 minutes, we finally get the car stops and we cut into a happy mother and a depressed Daniel, as his mother is really trying to sell California to him. Like, she's like, yes, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and she's like, yeah, just push the car, baby, push it, push it. And he has to like, oh, he has to push the car, right? This is in between before they stop. They finally stop. Yeah.
That was a part of the drive. Yes, that's all included. Yes.
And I guess that's a good thing, because going back to what you were saying before we even started this entire conversation, you're talking about how Daniel is rather from a disadvantaged background. And you can clearly see it in that small scene. I mean, if you have to push anyway, then it means that there's not much money in your bank account. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So anyway, he puts his bags into the apartment apartment they're about to live in, and he kicks open the gate only to smash it into someone, introducing Freddy Fernandez. We use this dialogue to get to know dialogue. Freddy talks about that kick that he did, and we get info about Daniel knowing karate. But does he really know, or is he bluffing? We don't really know yet. Dialogue also.
I actually thought that this guy would be a prominent character throughout. Like, I thought that he would be like the best friend or something.
But that we'll get to that. The dialogue also sets up the condition of the place and sets up Daniel going to a party. This is both clever and natural, but at the same time, there's this utilitarianness to it that gets to the bare bones of who Daniel is and what we need to know about him, as long as and with the area. Really, it's in 2 minutes, it gets a lot done here. Then, in 6 minutes in, we enter the house and we're back with Daniel and his mother. That whole scene, by the way, didn't have his mother. It's very interesting. We also got to look at how
the mother was upstairs, right? Because she went in before.
Yes.
And I was just telling Daniel, you can come in afterwards. It's fine. Yeah.
Exactly. We also get to look at how bad the pool is, and then we come inside and we see the broken faucet. We get a clever setup that moves naturally because it's all happening for multiple reasons. We're summoning our mentor character. We also get a setup and payoff of the party because Daniel hates it here. It's an ugly apartment, it's broken down, and the mother's trying to hype it up. So when there's mention of a party, the mother is the first person to hype it up because she needs Daniel to be happy, motivating to go.
Yeah.
And that's how.
Also, I guess we could say that the other character that we haven't really spoken about is the bike. The bike is a character in this film.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Like, the reason he kicks the door down is because the bike is filling his hands. So that's why he kicks it. The bike is basically where his bags are. And then, anyway.
I guess the only thing that didn't age well at that moment is the hiya before the kick, because come on, guys, who does hiya when they kick in real life? It's not realistic, and I'm glad they didn't include stuff like that in Cobra Kai. But yeah, at that time it made sense, but it just didn't age well.
Maybe in the 80s movie. I don't know. Remember, like what
if you remember, like Cynthia Rothrock movies, wasn't she like a hiya type of person?
Oh, Bruce Lee was definitely. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like the wah. Yeah.
Exactly. So maybe that's what they were copying, because I think Bruce Lee was the 70s, maybe. But
Bruce Lee was the 70s. Yeah.
But nowadays no one has seen a Bruce Lee movie or a Jackie Chan movie, so there's no more hiya.
Bro, people laugh when you're telling them that you're watching Rambo. So yeah, it's crazy.
People are dumb. Anyway, Daniel is going.
Whoa.
What? I stand by that. Anyway, Daniel the maintenance man. We get a of the classic setup of saving the cat. For those who don't know, Saving a Cat is basically a book on how to write screenplays, and it talks about when you're setting up your main character, one thing to do is to get your audience behind him. So what they'll do is they'll save the cat. In this case, Daniel is actually not saving a cat, but he's saving a dog, because he talks to an old lady, he pets the dog, like, do you want some water? And that's why he goes to the faucet to go get water for the dog. He's literally nice to the puppy and literally gets him water, which sets up the broken faucet, which sets up the maintenance man, which sets up him as a good person for giving dog the water. So it's bare bones, but it's brilliant because it does multiple things at the same time. It's moving.
But this goes back to what you're also saying back earlier on, that The story is about this happens, and then this happens,
Mm-hmm.
and then this happens.
Yeah.
I think it's something that Matt Parker and Trey Stone, the creators of South Park, actually mentioned in one of their lectures that
Yes.
um, it shouldn't be this happens, but or something
No.
like that, right?
Okay. It's supposed to. What not? It's supposed to be. It's and then this happens, and then this happens.
Oh,
What you're
right,
not supposed to do. It's supposed to be this happens because this happens, but then
right.
this happens, therefore this happens.
Yes.
That's the Matt and Trey Parker technique.
Yeah.
So they're moving to thingamajiggy.
Yes. Thanks for correcting me on that one. Yeah.
No, it's all good. They're moving to so and so, which is why Daniel is sad because he's leaving his cousin and his friends behind. Therefore, the mom is trying to be happy. But yeah, you know what I mean? And the therefore Daniel is going to the thing, but he sees a dog. Therefore, he gets the dog water because the pool is empty. So he gets the dog water, which then brings but then the faucet is broken, and so then therefore Daniel has to get the maintenance man to come and fix the faucet. Therefore, he meets Mr. Miyagi, and the line flows perfectly. It is brilliant.
Right. Yeah,
Anyway,
no, that is smart. It is smart. Look, I think when you are writing it and you're probably explaining it to people pitching this movie, it might be over explaining. But for the viewer, that over explaining is mostly show, not tell. And I think that's why it works out for us because it captivates us. We try to understand what's happening. You already get immersed in the universe. You already get an idea or a sense of who the character is and all of that. So that helps.
yes. Um, anyway, moving on, he finds the maintenance room and Mr. Miyagi. Mr. Miyagi is standoffish with Daniel as he is busy trying to catch a fly using chopsticks. Famous
Yeah.
scene. We also get a look at the home he lives in, which is so stereotypical Japanese that it's actually kind of crazy nowadays. But the idea is we get our first look at the two main characters, and it's kind of a bad start.
And also, like, yeah, because I don't even think Mr. Miyagi turned his head, did he? Like, he was just busy focusing on the fly.
Not at all, yeah. Actually, no. No. Daniel tries to walk inside, then Mr. Miyagi turns his head, and then Daniel retreats.
Oh, yes.
So, yeah, it's a bad start for them, which is very interesting. Then, in that awkward silence, we get a near heart attack inducing jump start as the music just explodes, and we see brightness and we see daylight outdoors and a crazy amount of activity as you're on the beach and we're playing soccer. Like the juxtaposition is just sudden.
Right.
As it turns out, Daniel plays in front of the girls there. We suddenly get a great moment with a girl that stands out to Daniel, and they share a moment together as the boys keep playing around. When the ball gets to her, she gives it to him, and he shows off crazy soccer skills actually, and he gets to show off to her as she goes swimming. It's a crazy love at first sight moment. Also, I actually forgot that Daniel was really good at soccer. Like,
no, he was. He was really good at soccer.
I literally forgot that was a thing. Yeah. And I was like, oh shit, this man, they threw it into him and he was just
And it's weird. It's actually weird that that detail is not even mentioned in Cobra Kai, but I guess it was not needed. But yeah.
It wasn't needed. No one was paying attention. I know I wasn't paying attention. I mean, to go from your hand to
for me, I mean, I always felt like that's the thing that actually got them, that always brought them closer, especially in these first scenes, because I think even at a point he joins the soccer club. I mean, we'll get to it, but
we'll get to it. Yes. But actually, yeah. But yeah, it turns out this is a soccer school. But yeah, but then which is actually very clever because normally you'd think football, but no, soccer. But anyway,
in America, soccer is not that huge, right? So
yeah. And Daniel is talking to Freddie. He asks Freddie about Ali. That's her name, Ali Mills. We shifted time.
I mean, you're pronouncing it very South African, but they would say Ali, I guess, like Ali McBeal. But yeah, but it's Ali.
Yeah,
yes.
I prefer Muhammad Ali. We shift in time to later in the night, and he's still obsessed with her. When Freddie sees the connection and tells him to make a move, and the group helps by pushing the ball to the girls, and Daniel has to go fetch the ball. It's a very, like, he doesn't even know these people, but they're all like bonding. It's actually awesome. And it puts the two of them together.
I mean, I remember those type of moments when I was younger, bro. But I would have guava. I would be so petrified of the girl that I have a crush on, and the guys would push me to do something, and I would be petrified. I would feel like my heart is just pumping out of my chest. Because now I have to talk to this girl, and I know nothing about relationships. All I know is that I like this girl. And if she says yes, what do we do? What happens then? I don't know.
Oh, yeah. It's a self-defeating prophecy. Exactly. It's very funny. Yeah.
Yeah. So when you see that actually Daniel is kind of like a playboy, then you're like, oh, cute. He's not like me. It's not like he doesn't know what he's doing. Yeah.
He's bold as all hell, man. And anyway, the kick puts them together, and they actually just start talking. They start having a nice back and forth. When suddenly a bunch of off-road bikes appear in the distance, and then we meet Johnny. We get a few seconds of dialogue, and it's actually hard to hear, but we get a quick painting of how goal-intented he is, and he seems like he's done with school, and he's got a plan for the future, and they're very active kind of vibe to it. But then one of his friends notices the beach party, and they see Ali, and Johnny immediately loses it. You get to find out quickly that he used to be dating, but he was on the losing end of the breakup, and he's still upset. This is actually be an interesting thing. I would love to know your opinion on it. Anyway, we come back to Ali and Daniel when Ali blasts the ball away. Like, she just kicks it like a crazy person. Now, the question is, was that on purpose because she saw Johnny was coming and didn't want problems? The scene work here has been meticulous enough that might actually be the case, that it might have been on purpose, because that kick is so random, and it turns out she knows how to play soccer. But what matters is that Daniel is away from the entire group and looking in, from the outside looking in, when the gang approaches and Johnny heads straight for Ali. So there's that separation there. The question is, was that a coincidence or was that on purpose?
I think it was probably on purpose, because she knew the character that Johnny has, and she probably didn't want to get Daniel into trouble. So probably could have been like a way to get Daniel out of trouble.
I mean, what
do you think?
It's entirely possible. Like I said, this script seems so crisp that her kicking the ball, that doesn't make sense. Like, if it was a more sloppy, if it was Zack Snyder, I'd be like, okay, nah, that was probably just a coincidence. He needed to get the ball away.
Oh man, you're so anti Zack Snyder.
No, I used to be the biggest Zack Snyder fan. That's the problem. I used to be the biggest fan in the world. But anyway.
And you broke.
And he broke my heart. Anyway, he's on the outside witnessing the fight. Being an outsider, he ambles into the moment. He's not a hero. He's just trying to play things cool. Because there's one of him and there's many of them. So, you know what I mean? Daniel deliberately tries to play it simple and cool, but Johnny isn't having it. And after smashing her radio that Daniel picks up, he shoves Daniel to the ground with it. The two face off against each other, and Johnny trips him up a few times before kicking him. Daniel lands.
Yeah, look, I think that's why a case has been made for Johnny for a very long time. Because initially he was really not trying to fight. Like, he was just, hey, yo, I'll just trip you a few times because I don't want to fight you. But Daniel kept coming in, though, because clearly he wants to impress Ali, I guess.
Oh, the man tried to pick up the radio. That's all he did. And then he was shoved. Let's not forget that. He was shoved first.
No, I agree. I agree with you.
That's all he did. And then he gets kicked.
Yeah.
And then
it's definitely Johnny's fault. Let's not lie. It's Johnny's fault. Like, he started it. Yeah.
Yes. Like, I feel like the Johnny defense is unfair when you actually rewatch this. And
No. It's definitely unfair. Definitely unfair.
Yeah. Anyway, Daniel lands.
Because how would Daniel know that you guys are exes? How would Daniel know? How would he know? He just came. He's just a new kid from the block. How would you know anything?
Are you smashing your girlfriend's radio then? If it's your girlfriend, what relationship is that? You know what I mean?
What? Oh yes.
Yeah, there's no relationship where you smash.
But I guess it also, like, if you're looking at it in hindsight now, it also says a lot about Cobra Kai back then. So.
Oh yeah, it was Cobra Kai's mentality, maybe. Yeah. But anyway, yeah,
Yes.
Daniel lands a sucker punch and tries to de-escalate because he was like, 1-for-1, we're even now. But Johnny still isn't having it and beats Daniel to the ground. Daniel never instigated. He tried to de-escalate. It was never two egos smashing together. Freddy, along with the others, just ditched Daniel. They're like, what loser is this that you brought to us, Freddy? What the hell's wrong with you? And Freddy ditches Daniel, dog. Like, it's actually horrifying. And they leave him alone on the floor, humiliated, and only Allie pays attention to him. By the end of the scene, Daniel's on the ground, humiliated, as the bikers drive away while spraying sand on him while he's on the floor, dude. It's a crazy low.
Yeah.
And all in the first 15 minutes. This is a perfect sleep piece that starts a character at one point and then ends them on a low. Like, it ends him high and then ends him low. It starts with him, a talented individual. He's cool. He's happy. He's with friends and has potentially found love. And ends with him abandoned and alone. It's its own little story, and it's amazing. It kind of reminds you almost of City of God. You know what I mean? With the story of the, what are they called again? Scooby, the three, what are they called again?
Oh, the
three amigos. But I forgot what it's called.
The three amigos. Yeah.
I forgot what it's called. But yes, the three, you know what I mean? Like that mini story. It's the kind of low that you'd see in the 90-minute mark in a 2-hour movie. But it's set in the first 15
minutes. And it can also be like a villain arc in an anime. Like, this is how villains are made.
Exactly.
Yeah.
15 minutes in, we open on the mother making breakfast. Scrambled eggs are wild. Mom is still chipper. And a humiliated Daniel tries to rush out with big glasses on. His mother.
Did you say scrambled eggs are wild?
Yes, those scrambled eggs, like those, are those just for her? Anyway, the mother pulls the glasses out and forces him to take them off. Daniel has a massive black eye. Daniel lies about what happened, says he fell off his bike, and she buys that. We quickly jump to him riding to school ahead of the emptiest school bus I've ever seen. It was so funny. I made a TikTok video about it. But yeah.
Really?
It was flipping funny. Let me see if I can play it.
Is this a recent thing or?
Yeah, I did it this morning.
Okay, I'll check it out.
But anyway, Daniel enters the school for the first time and he sees Johnny hanging out with his friends. And the scene cuts on an image of the school plaque with the motto, truth, liberty, and toleration. This is a basic setup that skips all the little things like him finding the school or him registering to the school. You'd almost think this was his second year. Do you know what I mean? They skip all of that.
Yeah.
They don't even show what the inside of the class looks like.
It was probably written in, but I'm sure the director was like, nah, we're not gonna use all of this. This is gonna make this movie way too long.
Possibly, yeah. But with the way the screenplay is so crisp, I wouldn't be surprised if it just wasn't there at all. They're like, we don't need it. Anyway, we jump straight to either the school club or phys ed. I'm assuming it's school clubs because I'm assuming he goes straight home afterwards. So I think it's clubs.
Yeah.
After school sports. He greets the kids from the beach, and Freddy is there, and they all roast him immediately. They start calling him Karate Kid, and they ditch him. So he is isolated. Ali shows up, and they have a moment involving dialogue. Johnny and the boys see the moment and immediately start making a non-verbal plan against him, which is just great filmmaking. There was no like, oh, let's do this. No, they all just look at each other. Anyway, Daniel, who's actually great at soccer, does a good job, and then he deliberately gets tackled. That was a leg sweep. And then when he fights back, he gets kicked off the soccer team because those were tryouts.
Yes.
And then he declares that the school sucks, isolating him once more. The scene even lingers on him.
He says it. He says it straight to in front of everybody. Like, yo, this school.
Hell yeah, dude. And the scene lingers on him walking away alone as Ali watches. Now, filmmaking 101 will tell you not to linger on shots like this. In a 2-hour movie, it seems like a bad idea, but they are clearly trying to say something. In the first cut, when we lock onto the plaque, it's kind of a joke on how tolerant people around him are. They really aren't. They keep isolating him. And the second Lingen cut on him walking away as Ali watches is fairly intense and long. That it's so long and so intense that I actually forgot about Mr. Miyagi. I forgot there's supposed to be a Karate Kid moment at some point. It's just because we linger on this man's misery. Do you know what I mean? And now with the theme of isolation and him being accused of being weak, and it's set in, we see Daniel trying to break out of it by trying to copy a karate textbook. Enter Mr. Miyagi to fix the faucet. We forget that it's only been a day. Anyway, we're now getting out of the soft verbal setups. Daniel elaborates on his karate experience. And then Mr. Miyagi talks about the eye, and he makes a sharp observation that even his mother didn't notice about him not hurting his hand.
Yes.
And for bike riders out there, you know that when you fall off your bike, the first thing you do is you reach out, which means your arms and your hands get hurt first.
Right.
And this makes Dandy...
There's something I want to say, and it's something that I'm actually noticing it now that you're narrating the story. And it's something that I also realized in The Good Wife. Have you watched The Good Wife before?
The TV show? No.
Okay. So what I want to say is there are characters that are introduced that are fixing something that is broken in the house. In The Good Wife is a character called Eli Gold. There was just this beeping sound that nobody could actually fix until he came in and then he fixes it. Right?
Okay.
I think he was like a crisis manager or something like that in the show. Here, Mr. Miyagi has to fix something that is broken in the house. But it's not just about him fixing that broken thing. That small thing is to indicate what he's going to fix later on throughout the entire film. Same thing happens in The Good Wife. This guy is the fixer, not just of whatever small thing that was beeping in the house, but this guy is a life fixer. He's going to fix this person's life going forward. So I feel like, yes, you could say he's the maintenance guy in the complex, but he's also like Daniel's maintenance guy. He's the one that keeps him in check, make sure that he's still in good spirits. He's not down, he's not thinking of doing certain things that she shouldn't do. It's basically a good influence in Daniel's life. So I feel like even though it's for me, it's like foreshadowing of sorts.
Okay. No, I hear you, man. That's pretty cool. No, I like that analogy, man.
Even though, yeah, it's quite hidden, but it's definitely foreshadowing.
Yeah.
I'm here.
Cool. So you kind of froze up there for a second. But this makes Daniel wary of the clever old man. But anyway, you'll notice that this scene was only a minute long, right? First of all, it shows how sharp Mr. Miyagi is, and it also shows a piece of Daniel's personality, and that he's not the type of person who gives up. You know what I mean? Like, he could be giving up right now, but he's not. He's rather learning karate from a book so he can try and come back. Yeah.
I think that's why, even though we felt sorry for Daniel, we didn't feel sorry for him to such an extent that this movie felt depressing.
And remember, he doesn't feel sorry for himself. He's trying to make a move. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And that's great.
Yes, 100%.
So now, a minute later, we're now 20 minutes in, we cut to the cafeteria where Daniel is met by Ali. Ali, eager to make up for the isolation that he's been feeling, tries to talk to him, and he's still a positive guy, and they're having such a cool back and forth. She shows empathy about the soccer situation. As it turns out, those were tryouts, which means he's missed out his chance to join the soccer team before he even had a chance to start. Ali gives the background of Johnny and the relationship that they used to have. You'll notice there's been no antagonism between the two of them. And it ends with them having another moment between each other. And Ali saying that she's been single, which gets Daniel very excited. This is another short scene, but this one, just like the previous one, does a lot to set things up. It sets up the positive relationship between Ali and Daniel. It sets up the issues between Johnny and Ali. It's short, sweet, but also very fun. I think we take for granted how often a lot of dialogue, because we're trying to produce drama, will end up with people just kind of negatively bouncing off each other. Do you know what I mean? Two of them are ripping at each other, and it's so positive that you can't help but want them to be together. Do you know what I mean?
100%. But also, now that I think about it, why would a girl like Ellie be interested in a guy like Daniel? Like, what is it about Daniel that got her so mesmerized? I mean, with Ellie, it's quite obvious. She's probably one of the hottest chicks in that school. But with Daniel, what did she see? Is it because maybe he's new? Because I do know there's a whole thing of sometimes women just want to be with someone different. So the fact that Daniel comes from a different area could also be what really gets her interested, because maybe the other guys didn't even make a move on Ellie because they're afraid of Johnny. I don't know. But maybe with Daniel, it's like, no, this guy's new. Um, and maybe let me try something new for a change instead of being with this guy who has a hot temper. I don't know.
I would say no. Actually, I would say one or two things. Number one, she just broke up with someone, so she's on the rebound. So that's number one, right? Number
Yes,
two,
yes.
that would just get him in the room. Do you know what I mean? That would get them past it, looking past each other. But number two, don't forget, Johnny is a skillful soccer player, and it's a soccer school, clearly. They're cheerleading for the soccer team. You know what I mean? They're all wearing like those gray stuff. So the way I see it is, first of all, number one, he's obviously super into her, number one, right? She's past a breakup with Johnny. He's a talented, athletic man. Do you know what I mean? In between the group of friends, he's clearly the most athletic one there. He's skillful, and he seems to not be paying attention to anyone else but her. That's number two, which is very flattering. And then they kind of have a talk. Like, they talk to each other for a moment. That's number one. So there's that connection in the beginning, right? And then once they actually start talking, they kind of like have a little, trying to teach her the skill, because she obviously plays sport as well, because she ends up using the soccer skills. And then it's all about sympathy, because first of all, there was a bond, there was a connection. And then when Johnny attacks her, when he attacks him, when she was just trying to protect her stuff, while trying to look after her, you know what I mean? She ends up feeling a connection with that. And then there's also a level of sympathy, because she understands that the only reason these guys are attacking him, like when his chance to join the soccer team, because remember, she knows that he's good at soccer, right? Then there's soccer tryouts, and because of her situation, he ends up getting kicked out of the soccer team before he has a chance to fucking play.
To prove
you know
himself.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
So now that changes his whole trajectory for the movie. So then they talk, and then it turns out, he's charming. He's a talkative guy, but he's also got these slick jokes. Whenever she says something, he's snapping back quick. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that, I think
that's Ralph Maccchio understood the typical protagonist thing that the protagonist usually has. You know how back in the day, Hollywood protagonists had that similar thing where they're charming, quite funny. They don't have a deep voice unless if you're like these big action stars. They just have this, mid-tier voice of sorts where, hey, how you doing? I don't know how to explain it. Like the Steven Seagal, Michael Madsen type of voice. And he's not bad looking at all. I mean, he's just scrawny, but he's not bad looking at all.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Very Italian, bro. True. So that's that whole Italian charm that he brings into this beautiful blonde-haired girl. So I'm sure maybe there was something to it there. I don't know. There was some Italian charm to it.
That could be the case, but I could make an argument that it has nothing to do with looks. I could make an argument that it has all to do with athleticism and his sense of humor, because he genuinely makes her laugh. And he's like sharp on the move. He's sarcastic. And she clearly resonates to that, because she tries to join in on the sarcasm, kind of create like a back and forth that doesn't feel fake. Do you know what I mean? There's actual chemistry there. So I feel like it's actually deeper than being superficial. Like, I feel like she was probably in a bad place, because clearly Johnny is all over the place, and this guy is like this little guy that's talented and sharp, probably perfect for her in that exact moment. Do you know what I mean? If you're feeling me. Yeah. Anyway, we open up on a dinner table and we see Daniel's mother sitting at dinner table at a restaurant. And Daniel knocks on the window after getting his bike, setting up his bike on a post. The set design is perfect, because the camera pulls up and we see Daniel in the window, and behind Daniel there's a karate advertisement. We also see Don Rickles in the background, but we'll ignore that. I don't know if you know what Don Rickles is.
Fair enough. Oh, sorry. What was Don Rickles doing? What was
Oh,
Don
no, it was
Rickles
like a
doing in
poster in the background in the red. It's just like a poster. The next Don Rickles performance, like a stand-up comedian.
this?
It's like if there was a Trevor Noah in the background. Do you know what I mean?
Yes. No, no, I am familiar with Don Rickles, but I'm
Uh,
just surprised that Don Rickles was there.
yeah, not
The
the
name.
actor, but the poster, yes.
Oh, okay.
It's great set design. Anyway, there's a Daniel immediately runs to the karate window, and we follow him. Before we get the scene, we get a voiceover that says, "Fear does not exist in this dojo, does it?" And the kids are like, "Yes, sensei." And then that's the voice of
Bro,
John Kreese.
I don't want to lie to you, you know. For me, whenever I think about Karate Kid, even when I was a kid, when I used to watch it on SABC One, that particular scene, right, that has Ralph Maccchio going into the dojo alone and he's hearing people, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There was just something about it, man. To this day, it's one of the most memorable scenes for me. Just seeing Daniel's head from the back, him slowly getting in, and like this dojo is hectic. You can see these people are sweating, they're doing their thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's no child's play, and I don't know. There's just something about it, man. There's
No,
truly
no,
something
you're
about it
absolutely
that
right.
is fascinating.
It's
Yeah.
absolutely brilliant, man. It's just so great.
I've actually seen it being copied a few times, even in Cobra Kai. I think there was a scene where Daniel does the same thing, even in one of the Cobra Kai seasons, and even Chris does it in the latest season. Funny enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's done so well. I think it was Karate Kid 3, yeah. But yeah. Hello?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Sort of. I can't see you though. Okay, you're back.
Okay, give me a second. Can you see me now?
Now
All
I
right.
can't see you. I went from can see you to can't see you.
Huh?
I lost you. You were visible and now
You
you're
can't see.
and now you're back.
Okay, sorry about that. I
Oh,
think that's just a connectivity thing.
all right. Okay, cool. Daniel immediately runs to, yeah, okay. The voiceover, yep, we see the voice, we see the, yeah, okay. Yeah, he walks into danger and we see a poster of the man that's life-sized as he walks past. We see all his achievements, his military achievements, his wall of trophies everywhere. All the time this man is speaking, there's a bunch of students yelling in response. Finally, we see John Kreese. But like you said, it's so iconic. This build-up, this growth. We see the trophies.
Yeah.
We see his face. We hear his voice. It's almost like Indiana Jones, almost like the way they built this up for us to see this man.
Right.
Or Darth Vader.
Yeah.
It's a very Darth
Yes.
Vader build-up. I think you mentioned Darth Vader before. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yes, it was designed to be as iconic as you say it was. It was like it's almost like they knew that it was going to hit off like this, but only 8 million to create 100. They had no idea it was going to do this. But yeah, anyway.
Yeah.
Here,
but also 8 million was a lot in the 80s, though.
Dog, nah, compared to some of the other stuff. But yeah, we'll get to that.
I mean, there are no special effects in this thing.
I know, but still. Just remember again, like how many movies did you say were Elizabeth Shue and maybe you could say Ralph Maccchio were like the only famous people? Even John Kreese was not that what's his face was not that big.
Yes,
so I feel like there was a lot less weight behind this movie. But anyway, again, I think I was in behind the scenes where there was like, we'll see what happens. Do you know what I mean? I don't think there was as much faith. But yeah. We hear strike fast, strike hard, no mercy. Daniel's super impressed only to see Johnny there. Daniel, absolutely dejected, goes back to his mother, fully understanding maybe what John, that maybe that's why John was able to beat him up so easily. And with that set framing as before, with the window open to the karate dojo and Don Rickles in the background, we start to see Johnny and the others walk out of the dojo. Putting them in between Daniel and his mother, which is a nice little character thing. There's another time that happens, where Johnny's in between Daniel and another woman. The mother is still talking about the job, but we zoom in on Johnny in the background and we understand that what Daniel is dealing with. We see one of the one of the guys that Johnny's with notice Daniel, and then they run off at high speed, and we just know something's about to go down. His mother, being the wonderful person she is, manages to pull him out of his bad mood. Because remember, while we saw this, Daniel didn't. Puts him out of his bad mood, and when she does, the camera pulls away. As we see the audio understands something's about to go down. But now it cuts to Daniel, so we can focus on him. So
this is the scene with his mom at the restaurant, right?
Yes, so he's talking
this goes back to what you were saying. What you were saying about that whole Beverly Hills Cop thing, where the car is in the back and we are not seeing what's happening.
Yes. And the mom pumps him up. He's really started to talk about the girl in his life, and as he does, the camera cuts away from the background, and now he focuses only on Daniel to see where he's at mentally. This is absolutely astonishing good filmmaking, because it reminds me very much of the Beverly Hills Cop we talked about. Yeah, it's a tricky move to pull off, but once it's done, it's fantastic. In fact, I could almost argue it's almost something you don't see in filmmaking anymore. Daniel is talking.
Yes.
Daniel is talking. Daniel talking is also another clever thing that's happening that I've never noticed until now. But in the background, while Daniel's talking, the person that is with the mother, some old lady, calls the mother over, comes down from something, calls the mother over, and then they leave, leaving Daniel isolated as he talks about his girl. Cool. And then, he's still talking about it because he's just really into her. And I think what happens is in this moment is that he's trying to deal with his feelings and trying to understand, how do I really feel about her? And I think he's settling his feelings. You know what I mean? It's a great little scene.
Right.
Little ending, sorry. And then Daniel is riding home, and it's dark already. And this is when Johnny's entire gang shows up on motorbikes. His crew push him off a hill, and even though his face is just recovered, the black eye is gone in like a day, he now has a cut on his head again. It's been 26 minutes of abuse when the mother finally comes home, and we kind of get our peak of everything that's happened to him. She parks the car.
Because I think the bike was messed up at this point, right?
Yes, because it fell down the hill. She parks the car. As she get out, she sees Daniel has just only now arrived, and he's being beaten and abused, and he's emotionally broken, and he finally snaps. You see, man, him being upset is so sharp because he managed to stay positive this whole time, and this is kind of the breaking point.
Yes.
Daniel has a good moment of acting, right? Russo, what's the guy's name again?
Ralph Maccchio.
Ralph Maccchio, there we go. Has a great moment of emotion right here with the mother trying his best to find out what the hell is happening to him and why he's being beaten up like this. But Daniel, unable to reflect on how he feels because his mother has been giving the wrong image this whole time. He also feels like she can't sympathize in a way, so they can't have this connection, even though this is a low point that he's at. Which is a common thing that can happen with parents, where like they're trying to show this positive vibe, and because the kid is having a negative vibe, they feel like they can't get their parent to empathize, so they just end up pushing away. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because sometimes it does feel a bit like the parent is being insensitive. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, let's bask in the moment. Like, actually acknowledge what I'm going through right now. Stop acting like this thing doesn't exist. I'm going through this thing right now.
Yeah. Sometimes trying to smile your way through it doesn't work.
But you know what? Shout out to Ralph Maccchio and the lady, man, because this chemistry between them is so great that you actually feel the scene. Like, you actually feel like this kid is actually upset at his mother. Like, why did you have to move? I hate it here. I want to leave.
Randee hella. And remember, the mother is like, I can't change anything. Let me help you get through this. Tell me what's wrong. And she's like, she wants to help, but she can't. I think that combination, it's brilliant. And now...
Yeah, I mean, at the same time, he didn't... I like the fact that they didn't, like you mentioned earlier, he didn't feel sorry for himself. And the second thing, they didn't want to make him a mama's boy, right? Because he could have just told his mom everything and the mom would have gone to the school.
Yeah.
But he's like, no, this is something that I have to sort out myself.
Yeah. And also, it wouldn't suit his character if he did that, because he has a
Yes,
specific character type already, definitely.
exactly.
Um,
Exactly.
so yeah, his mother leads him home and they walk away, exiting the scene. This has all been like one cut, if I remember correctly. And behind the door, that Daniel was beating down in his emotional breakdown, Mr. Miyagi Sensei was behind the door listening the whole time. And that's how the scene ends. Now, in a lot of 2 hour movies, you tend to see like a quarterly split where it gets split into 4 sections. We talked about this in the Green Mile, and talked about this in the Mummy. We are now at the half an hour mark, and we've just been hit with an extreme low, just at that mark, just at the half an hour mark. This proves that this will probably have a quarterly section divide within the movie itself. Whereas in this corner, we've seen an all-time low. We've had a depressing straight line to that low point, right? So now we
Right.
know. So now that we've hit the mark, we almost feel like we know that something's about to change. And the real question is,
Yes.
what? Cool.
Yeah.
So 28 minutes in, we open on Ali talking to one of her friends. It's a tracking shot of us following her. Again, it's dynamic filmmaking. It's very City of God. It kind of reminds you of that one we talked about. We talked about it more than once, this shot. The one, Oh Brother Out There did it as well, where you see this, where they're singing on this truck, and it goes and goes and goes past the radio station, and the truck goes past, and it focuses like this. Remember we talked about the truck?
Oh, yes. Yeah, we did. Yeah.
Yes, so same thing happens here, but obviously not in a car. But the 2 girls are talking, and then Ralph and then Daniel sees them walking past, and the camera focuses on here, and we see him getting up to be like, oh, you know what I mean?
Right.
It's a clever little switch up and a brilliant camera move, and I really think it shows the flow and talent of them of everyone working.
Yeah.
Daniel pushes in between Ali and her friend, and they immediately laugh with each other, because again, they just feel each other. This falls apart, and the first negative back and forth hits between them as he sees Johnny and immediately runs away. Ali tries to confront the situation, like, are you gonna get my ass kicked? Like, I feel like that's when, you know, those memes where like a girl talks you into an ass beating. I feel like that's the only thing that could have happened here, like with this confrontation. But anyway, Ali tries to confront the situation, but she clearly doesn't understand the issue fully, and Daniel just bounces, telling her to back off. So it's an ugly cut between the 2 of them, and it's the first time this has happened. They've been flowing positively the whole time. Anyway,
yeah, but remember, he's reached breaking point already, which is something you mentioned already earlier on. Exactly. So I think he just doesn't care anymore.
Yeah. So he comes home and he sees a new bike fix. Oh no, sorry, it's a fixed bike. And he's shocked and happy about it. He immediately rushes to Mr. Miyagi and thanks him because it was him who fixed the bike. He takes an interest in Miyagi's trees, and he invites Daniel in. Now, the bonsai question for you: is this him being grateful, right? Or is it because he just is nice to old people, like he was with the old lady? Do you think that's why he's interested in the trees, or he's just like actually like, wow, trees? What do you think is actually happening here?
No, I think it's him just being,
because he's good as old people.
I think it's a bit of both, actually. First of all, he is being grateful. But remember, initially when he met Mr. Miyagi, he wanted to go in. Right? And Mr. Miyagi looked at him and giving him the signal that he shouldn't go in. So I think he does have a natural liking of older people.
Oh, okay, yeah, I agree with
that. Or just people in general, because even how he met Ali, I mean, or how he met that guy that he accidentally kicked when he was getting inside the complex.
Yeah, I think he's just a very good. It's so funny. I think if it wasn't for Johnny, he would have been a bit of a jock. Does that make sense?
And also, had him and Johnny made under different circumstances, they probably could have been friends. Who knows?
Oh, definitely. He would have been a part of the crew, I think, almost.
Yeah.
And I think this is great character writing, because there's nowhere in the storyline do we go, yeah, Daniel is like this. Yeah, he is like this. Nah, This is all stuff that you interpret from the actions that he's made.
Yes. Yes, definitely.
Now, time to yell about Zack Snyder. No, I'm joking.
But also, I think it helps to have the person who knows him the most not being present for the most part of everything else that we've said. I mean, the only person that knows him is his mom.
Yeah.
But she's not there the entire time. So we're trying to figure him out through his actions, like you said. Not through what the mom says about him,
yes,
but through the actions that he makes.
Yeah, but a lot of writing would do it like that, right? A lot of writing would be like, oh no, Daniel's like this, and they tell us. They wouldn't show us.
Yes, yes, yes. That's my point.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing to think about, right? Like, that's an interesting question, because it's something that a lot of people wouldn't do, but Daniel does it, and it makes sense that he does it. I just think that's just.
But look, man, the thing is, before answering your question, I have to really think about it, because now we know Daniel, like, we know him to the core now, because we know him as a 60-year-old something man now.
Yeah.
You know, and he gives like everybody a bonsai tree who buys his cars from his automobile shop. So it's like, yes, was he just being grateful? But if he was being grateful, why would he continue to, you know? But I guess, okay, my question already is answered, because he spends a lot of time with Mr. Miyagi eventually.
Yeah.
But I think the dog, him giving the dog water.
Water, yeah.
What was he being grateful for?
At that point, yeah, he maybe just really likes old people, man.
Yeah.
I think maybe that's it.
Yeah.
Because I think it'd be crazy to be like, man, Daniel loves trees. Jesus Christ, that man and trees.
But also, I mean, but also, the writer needs to let you know that this is our protagonist and he's a good guy. Yeah, so there will be moments like that where you actually realize that, okay,
true.
Like you mentioned earlier.
But it has to make sense. You can't just save a cat. You know what I mean?
For no reason.
Yes. Yeah. And that one had a reason, because he's got interwoven. It's like a shirt. You got to knit it together. But anyway, him and Miyagi helps with the tree, and Miyagi teaches him how to concentrate and focus. He also teaches him how to trust in himself when it comes to the tree trimming, which he turns into something deep. And he actually cuts the tree for long enough for his mom to show up. And considering the efficiency of the earlier scenes, this is actually kind of interesting. The time it takes to do these individual trees, this bonsai tree scene actually lingers for a while and moves around effectively. The camera moving around kind of reminded me of the scene with in City of God between Scooby and the wife and the girlfriend. When they're talking, and when she's like cooking, and then they're talking together, and they kind of get together. It kind of reminded me of that, where it's like a scene where they aren't sharp cuts, they aren't cool, fancy moves. It's just them talking.
One long scene.
Yeah, them just talking. And it really separates itself, and it works.
And also, I guess it sort of, because shout out to the mom again. Sorry, I forgot her name. But
Randee Heller.
Shout out to her, because the way she lights up when she sees that Daniel actually, one, has a friend, and two, he's acting differently from the night before. You know, it shows that she is a happy mom, because she's like, okay, at least he's seems like he's finally at least accepting this place, in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah. And then the mom has to drag him out as well. Don't forget. Like, he was actually he had to drag him out. Normal time, this man will end the scene beaten and alone, and this time they have to drag him away from this situation. So again, contrasts, little things like that add up. And I feel bad even calling it a little thing. It's a big thing. It adds up so nicely. But anyway, 34 minutes in, we discover that Daniel is actually avoiding both Johnny and Ali at this point.
Yeah.
And we even get a Hollywood.
I mean, which is understandable, right?
Yeah. He's embarrassed. He's upset. He's isolated.
And I mean, Ali is the reason why he ultimately is where he is with these guys. Yeah. If it wasn't for Ali, he wouldn't be in this situation.
So to be fair, he never actually blames her. He never does, not once.
Yeah, I agree, but again, from my interpretation, I was just thinking that this girl, she got me into trouble in a way. Not that, I mean, he'd never said it to anybody because he doesn't have friends, but in my mind, I'm thinking, these guys wouldn't have been a problem in his life if he was not talking to Ali.
I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying. Though I think the way they set it up is that Johnny is Daniel is embarrassed about the way he left things at one time, and you'll see in the shower scene that they kind of reflect on that immediately. But we'll get into that. Cool. So yeah. But anyway, there's a nice shot here that I'm talking where the Halloween scene where you see Johnny is doing something and Ali's in the front of the shot near the camera.
Yeah.
And then Daniel's in the back. And just like before at the restaurant, Johnny is literally standing between him and her. You know what I mean? It's symbolic, but it says a lot.
Oh, but Johnny is behind or what?
Yeah, Johnny's behind Ali doing his own thing. In order for him to get to Ali, he'd have to go through Johnny. Do you know what I mean? But he's also having issues in the first place.
You're mentioning Johnny twice. Who is Daniel at this point?
Let me see if I can show you the shot because I feel like you need to see it to understand.
Okay. Because I think what you're saying Johnny is seeing Johnny. So I'm like, wait.
Oh, sorry. I said Ralph is seeing Ali and Johnny's in the shot as well. And he can't seem to see her without getting in the way of... let's see here. Give me 1 second. I'll show you because it's such a nice shot.
This is you said it's Halloween. Also, already at the Halloween.
Yes, we're at the Halloween party. Yeah.
All right.
Give me a second.
So, did you mention that Daniel didn't have a costume, and are we not there
No,
yet?
that hasn't happened yet. Remember, it's before Halloween, but they're setting up a bunch of stuff. So the Halloween party hasn't happened yet. It's a setup for the Halloween party.
They're preparing for Halloween.
Yes.
All right. Okay.
Can you see?
Oh yeah, him being at the back. Yeah.
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 Okay, here we go. Wait. Get it?
Hey, but Elizabeth Shue is a flame, bro.
See that? And bam. 1.
Oh, whoa! I
3.
didn't see him there. I didn't see him back there.
See the framing here. Look at that.
Oh, wow.
1, 2, 3. Because number 1, it reflects the relationship over here. Okay, I don't know if you can see my mouse, but you can see.
Okay,
you see the relationship over here, and it's a triangle. Sometimes a lot of filmmakers, what they do is triangles instead of sometimes like in kung fu they'll be like circles.
Yeah.
Sometimes what matters in filmmaking is triangles. 1, 2, 3, the triangle, and the bond is here. The upstairs, and now in terms of distance, it's 1, 2, 3. In terms of relationship, it's 1, 2, and then the blocking force is 3. Do you see what's happening here? This is great.
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
It is storytelling in itself, even though it's a small scene, but it is storytelling in itself. It tells you what's happening between all these characters.
Exactly. Let me actually, you know what? Now that I've talked myself into it, I just want to see if I can. Let's get back to that 22 minutes. Is it 22 minutes? Give me a second. There we go. Just to see how great this shot is. Look at that. Look at that. 1, 2, 3. The triangle. It's not a straight line per se. It's a triangle. And then, give me a second. 1 second. 1 second. 1 second. 1 second.
You know, it also makes me wonder what he said to make them change his mind about not going to do anything there.
What do you mean?
You remember they were planning on doing something and then they changed their minds. They wanted to do something to Daniel.
Well, they did. They were going to wait for him. Remember, look over here, right? They didn't know that Daniel was still here, right? Watch. And then he notices 1, 2, 3.
Yes.
And then he runs back.
Uh-huh.
And then they're like, oh. And then they all run off in speed because they got plans. Now, I thought in the restaurant.
Okay.
But you know what? They're actually posh Beverly Hills kids, so it wouldn't make sense for them to do something in the restaurant. It would make more sense for them to wait for him to leave.
Right.
And
okay. I thought that they saw his mom and they're like, no, cannot do anything.
Nah, I think so. They didn't want to go into the restaurant. And then this is the second one. See? Over here? Just random. Like, this didn't even have to happen. You know, just like, and
What?
interesting, right? Random, just for no reason. I just thought that was a nice little over-the-shoulder shot. Do you know what that kind of? You know what shot that would be? That would be De Palma.
Yeah.
That's a De Palma shot right there. Because that's the kind of thing De Palma do. Do you know what I mean? No,
Right.
this one, I
Right.
feel like De Palma sometimes does cool shots for no reason. Do you know what I mean? Whereas this
No, I
one had
hear you.
very specific purpose. The first one.
I
This
think
one.
you might have to switch off the sharing because YouTube might, yeah.
Okay.
But I do get what
But
you
it's
mean.
not moving though, at least. It's
Before you
just,
get back there, if you want to go,
Mhm.
yes. Okay.
Um,
No, I think so. I don't know. I don't know how YouTube works, but yeah.
yeah. I tripled the speed,
But
so
that
hopefully it wouldn't have.
I hope
Yeah,
so.
cool. So yeah.
No, it is a very memorable, iconic scene that nobody really talks about anymore.
Yeah.
I think it
It's
it
a
really
kind of,
sets up.
yeah, it's like, because like De Palma's like so good at that kind of thing. And I feel like a lot of other directors were doing it, and like, none of us noticed. But then again, I guess maybe those filmmakings that you don't notice, who knows? We were at,
Maybe it's subtle art that only, I guess, cinephiles would notice, critics would notice, art students would notice, film students rather would
yeah.
notice. So I don't know.
But yeah, that's the beginning of the set piece. For back to 34 minutes in, where the set piece is that shot that I showed you, and now so now we cut to a Halloween pumpkin, and now remember the movie started in September, and Halloween is obviously in October, which means some time has already passed.
Right.
At least a month has passed. Mr. Miyagi welcomes Daniel to his office, happily kind of showing that his relationship that has been going on for a while and that weeks have passed and they're bonding, setting up a depth. We've spent 30 minutes setting up the we've spent the first half an hour setting up their misery. And now we spent up to 5 minutes setting up a layer of depth, also between the two main characters. And I think that's a very interesting point. This setup is the new build-up to the new scene because, like we talked about how there's 4 sections. The first half an hour was about Daniel getting beaten up, and now the second half is setting up a new item that's happening for the second quarter of the movie. And the second quarter is all about Daniel and Mr. Miyagi. We've gotten Daniel, and now we're going to get some Mr. Miyagi as we focus
on relationship.
Yes, and as we focus on at one point, because remember at one point we'd almost forgotten about him. Do you know what I mean? Because there was so much Daniel, and it's fantastic how they kind of.
I mean, in the first act, Mr. Miyagi is barely in it.
Barely in it.
To be honest,
he gets a few wins, but that's very small. But yeah, despite their friendship, right? Mr. Miyagi is the first to notice that Daniel's son is being isolated. Like, this man is happy to see Mr. Miyagi. Why are you happy to see such an old man? You know what I mean? And Daniel tells him, Daniel's actually willing to open up to Mr. Miyagi. So he tells him about the Halloween party that he could be going to, but instead he's stuck with Mr. Miyagi, which he's so happy about. And that positivity there before is now broken down. Daniel's positivity, you can tell that breaking point that we talked about has really changed him. Because now he's down in himself, self-misery. He was never like this before. And now he's just gluing himself to Mr. Miyagi.
I think that's something also Mr. Miyagi. That's something Mr. Miyagi notices.
Yes, 100%.
I'm saying that's something that Mr. Miyagi picks up very quickly. Yeah,
100%. But not only does he pick it up, he wants to fix it. So he asks about what would it take for Daniel to go to this party, and Daniel says maybe a costume where he can be invisible. And this is a very clever way of Daniel showing his insecurities and pain that he's going through. And Miss Miyagi thinks about this, and we kind of get a focus on him thinking, and then boom, he has a solution. End of scene. Only lasts a minute, by the way. This is a 1-minute scene, but so much is done. You know what I mean? We open the Halloween party on a nice top-down view. Yeah, you're gonna say? Yeah.
No, nothing. I'm with you.
Okay, cool. And we get to see kids having fun when suddenly there's a giant shower curtain walking in. And we kind of understand that that's Daniel because he wanted to be invisible. And this is the worst kind of invisible, but he is invisible. We cut on Ali noticing the shower curtain immediately. Like she already knows who it is. And she's so excited about it. And it turns out, no, she knew immediately that it was Daniel, which is just great. Like, that's great. They meet inside the shower, which separates him from the rest of the group, which is such a clever move by a director. That's slick. Talk about cutting everyone out while they're still there. Because normally they'll be like, oh, let's go to the VIP section.
Wow, I didn't even think of it. I didn't even think of it that way. Like, I honestly didn't even think of it that way, bro. Honestly. Yeah, but it is a smart way of doing it. Yeah, I didn't even think of it that way. Yeah. At all.
Just think, what do they always tell you to do when when they say advice to pick up chicks, right? You meet them at a party, you move them somewhere else, right? Or like, you know what I mean? When you're talking to someone, get them, you know what I mean? So in this way, the director has moved them to a separate location while keeping them in the same location. I just think crazy. This isn't, yeah. And you see the chemistry kicks off immediately.
Yeah, it could be like a metaphor to say that he's in his own bubble.
Oh yeah, it's one of those I only see you moments.
Yeah.
A perfect example being another example, a more extreme example would be Creed 3, I think, where the two boxers are fighting and the audience disappears and it's literally just the two of them.
Okay, I haven't seen Creed, but I hear you.
Or like when a guy sees a girl across the room and then the room goes black and it's just the two of them. That's what's happening here.
Yes.
Chemistry is amazing. They're laughing together, and she calls him out on exactly what she talked about him disappearing. Because it turns out she's absolutely noticed that he's been avoiding her. But he calls her out because he's like, how cool is it that you've been looking for me? And I was like, oh, snap, that's nice. And the scene ends with them very close, and they want to go hang out outside together when a guy in a chicken suit drops an egg on everyone's head, including Daniel's. Because, again, there's no and then. It's always therefore, but. Do you know what I mean? So there's always a reason something happens. So the set piece continues to on a new location, and Daniel's in the bathroom washing out the egg in his hair, when suddenly a guy in a skeleton costume passes him, likely one of Johnny's friends. But cleverly, because of the shower costume, he doesn't see Daniel, so he passes, and he's just looking for Johnny. As it turns out, Johnny's in the bathroom at that time, and when his friends leave, Ali's words ring in Daniel's memory about Ali saying she wishes something could happen to Johnny. Remember that? He's like, he's such a dick. I wish something could happen to him. Mm-hmm. And Daniel's like, well, what goes around comes around. You know what I mean? So yeah, we see the slow setup of the plan by Daniel as Johnny sets up his little. I'm assuming that's weed. I don't know. The water spray works, but he's immediately figured out.
He's rolling a joint.
Huh? I would assume it's a joint. I mean, what, you're making your own cigarette?
No, I was saying that Johnny was rolling a joint.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, which is wild.
No, he was definitely, he was rolling a joint, for sure.
At least, yeah, okay. But yeah, you know what's funny about this? You know what this reminds me?
That was a small scene.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, yeah, you were saying?
I was just saying that it's a small. I was saying that it's a small scene. It's very, very subtle.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he was a weed smoker. It's something that only happens in this scene throughout the entire franchise.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was smoking weed, bro.
Yep. Hey, cool kids. But yeah, you know what I think is funny about the scene though? You know those video games, right?
What does it remind you of?
You know those like stealth video games where you got stealth mode, and let's say you set off something, right? Yeah. But you weren't there, but suddenly everyone knows where you are. Do you know what I mean? Like you're playing a stealth game and you go swing, oh, you've been caught, and the guy down there knows.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
and they all start shooting you.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? That's basically what happens here. Because like, if I get sprayed with water, right, and I see only one other guy in the room, my thought isn't, oh, the other guy must have left. Let me go after him. Do you know what I mean? He just chases straight after him. And then,
yes.
He runs past. He says to Ali, hey, what goes around comes around. And then she gives her the thing. And then she helps out. She trips Johnny and them. Trips the whole group. And then he gets to take off. And he causes like 3 car accidents.
Yes.
But they all let that slide.
I wanted to say that. I'm like, okay. Because I remember when I was watching this like a few years ago.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is a very subtle moment.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that he caused these 3 accidents, that's probably where some of the 8 came from, because those are accidents. Those are actual car accidents.
Oh, yeah. And you know what's funny about it? If this was Africa, it wouldn't be Johnny chasing, it would have been the driver. It would have been the driver, like, come back here. But anyway,
it would be the taxi driver, bro.
Yes, it would absolutely be the taxi driver chasing the shit out of him. Anyway, as he's about to get it home, he almost makes it home. He's climbing the fence, which was open. The fence was open, but we'll let that go for now. He tries to climb the fence, and Johnny and them, they grab him and they beat the crap out of him. He gets beaten just outside of his house, and this is when Mr. Miyagi shows up, climbing the fence. Yeah, I thought it was such a cool shot where you see him, because at first I didn't see him, Like, let me see if I can show you, because it's such a slick. This nigga climbs the fence on the side, and you're like, who's that? And you see him jump down. Right? I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, I don't know exactly what you're talking about. Because I know in the new Karate Kid, they sort of like that, even though it's a different take to it. But I know exactly what you're talking about. I know that scene very well.
Yeah, like he sneaks
it's at night.
Yeah. Just shows up out the corner, and it's like, oh, okay.